Good evening and welcome to News 9. I'm Nolan Pinto. With water sources depleting alarmingly all over India, metropolitan cities like Bengaluru are unable to bridge the wide gap between demand for water and its supply. But there is one apartment complex right here in the city that meets its water needs efficiently and could be a model for the city in future.
20 years ago, the beautiful city of Bengaluru did not have to worry about natural resources. The IT boom and the influx of people into the city have stretched Bengaluru's natural resources to breaking point, particularly water. Bengaluru is facing severe water shortage, more so during summers for the last few years. Unable to meet the scarcity, people are digging borewells on every street. But now even borewells have seemed to gone dry, raising an alarm of decreasing water tables in the city. So as a solution to water crisis, would you consider drinking water out of human waste? Well, hard to even imagine, isn't it? But here is one apartment in Bengaluru which is doing just that. This is the TZed apartment in Whitefield. This apartment on the outskirts of the city on a 5-acre plot has about 95 homes. The apartment no doubt looks environment friendly, but also stands as an example for using their resources to the maximum, especially water. Well, what is interesting about this apartment is that the residents depend on sewage water for drinking and other purposes. Well, shocked? This is what the residents drink every single day.
Well, individual houses and apartments in the city are facing serious problems with regard to water. I take you inside TZed Apartments, a community with a lot of villas and apartments, close to 90 homes in fact inside, which are completely self-sustained in terms of water. Now, how are they actually doing it? Let's get inside and find out.
Like all apartments, this apartment has set up a sewage treatment plant that recycles rainwater, but they also have another system set up called the reverse osmosis plant. With the set of these two plants, the residents not only use the treated water for other purposes, but also drink them. Well, you might wonder how it all works. The people who set it up showed us how the sewage water gets treated first and then goes through a 3-layer filter through RO and finally comes out as a purified water. Here's how they do it.
I'm talking from TZed Homes, where we have been able to convert water from sewage into potable quality water. This is the story that I'm going to show you how we went about doing it. It all starts out here in this sewage tank, where the incoming sewage, after it passes through a bar filter, it comes out here. You can see that it's a lot of water with heavily mixed sewage. Now this then is this goes into a extended aeration system, where there's air pumped through air blowers that you can see out here in terms of these valves that you can see out here, the red colored knobs and the blue colored knobs. These pump air into the sewage, and aerobic bacteria, which basically use this oxygen from the air and convert the sewage into harmless sludge. And here you can see that this is the mixing chamber where the sewage has been processed a bit by the bacteria. So you can see that there's a lot of mixture of sewage and water out here. So when the bacteria work on this sewage and make it into sludge, the water gets separated, and then we will see that the water is getting purer and purer at this stage, where you can see that the water here, there is more water and very little of sludge or sewage, which is all gone below. And this water, as you can see, the clarity of water is much higher out here as compared to the earlier stages. This water is then pumped through a combination of sand filter and activated carbon filter that we will be showing. So these are the two pumps that actually pump this water through activated carbon and sand filter, which are over here, which you can see. And at this stage, pretty much all the sewage that is there in the water is separated out. The water is basically having only some dissolved inorganic salts and whatever was there in the sewage. Okay, that water is then chlorinated You can see a chlorine doser system out here. Now this chlorine doser system basically injects chlorine into that like a STP treated water. This at this stage is called STP treated water with the chlorine doser. That is stored into tanks out here on the in front of the doser. You can see out here this. Now this is STP treated water. Okay. Now this STP treated water to some extent is there in many places, pretty much in all apartment complexes. They have STP treated water. What we have done differently in TZed is basically taking this water as a starting point and converting this water to the level of drinking, to potable levels, and recirculating it for drinking, thereby giving a full self-dependence on water for this campus of 100 plus homes. We do not waste water. None of this water is thrown out. It is used for gardening, it is used for car wash, it is used for mopping the floors, and excess water is then treated further, which I will show you, and that is used for drinking as RO water. Okay. Now, just before we move from this place, one last thing I want to point out is that the sludge that was there, that is processed sludge from the bacteria, is then pumped up into tanks which are behind me over there. This sludge is then dried, and this sludge is actually very rich in manure, which has no smell, and it is safe to handle because the bacteria has already processed all the harmful contaminants, and this is then used for the garden that you can see just behind the sludge tank, where we have a banana plant and bamboo and other things. So this garden is basically using this sludge, which is a manure. So in effect, if you notice, there is nothing called waste in this campus, where the human waste is used as manure and water is then treated and reused for drinking.
After the sewage water is treated, it then goes through a cleaning process through the RO plant.
We are now at the level where the rest of the processing is being done to bring that sewage treated water into potable levels. We started over there where the STP treated water is stored in the tanks behind the walls out here, and from there are pipes that bring it all the way down. As you can see, those pipes, they bring it down and they pass it through another set of filters. These filters are basically a precaution that if there are any sediments, as you might have seen, those sediments are removed in another set of sand filter and activated charcoal filters, which are right out here. Once the charcoal filter also is effective to remove the chlorine that was added over there in the STP treatment. So the chlorine is removed in the activated carbon, and then we have an ozonizer. So the ozonizer adds ozone into the water, and the primary purpose of ozone apart from the chlorine is both of them serve the same purpose, that they basically annihilate any bacteria or any major living organism that might have been there in the water. Okay. Now this is basically to ensure that because we are going to portability, we have multiple systems. So even if a system fails, the water does not get any contamination. So we have chlorine and we have ozone and we have activated charcoal. All of them are effective in removing bacterial content as well as removing any other organic material in the water. Okay. Now from there, this water is now coming through the RO system, where we have another two sets of filter, again sand filter and charcoal filter. Again, you can see that there's a lot of repetition here because we don't want to take any chance for potable water. So even if one of them is not working, then there are three of these. So somewhere it will get cleared. So it's passing through the sand filter and charcoal filter, followed by micron filters. There are two micron filters. So the water enters the micron filter. And finally, the water that has been purified through all these systems finally goes to the RO membranes. You see that horizontal two beams, those are the RO membranes. So finally it is going through the RO membrane, and what you get outside is the RO water. We are standing right on the tank where that RO water is stored, and this is basically the story of sewage to potability. So this water is now fit for human consumption, and we can safely drink this. You can safely drink this water and not have to worry that it once upon a time was a sewage water. Because as you can see, the number of stages that it has gone through, there is no organism that will pass through all this and still be alive by the time it comes to the RO system. So we have been using this water for past 3 years, and not one incident has occurred where that RO water has been found to have any type of a contamination.
There you see, sewage water that finally comes out is crystal clear water ready to drink. The concept is not new, as it was started 3 years ago with the support of residents of the apartment and a few sewage treatment experts. Until 3 years ago, the residents of the locality were facing serious water shortage issue. Every day, the society would buy 10 water tankers and rely on them. When that became cumbersome and expensive, they dug borewells, but even those dried up in a few years. Desperate to find a solution, the residents, along with the help of two men, Alok Kuchlos and Srinivasan Shekhar, came up with this idea, borrowed from the new water system in Singapore. The entire setup cost them 2,50,000 rupees, with the residents contributing 2,000 rupees each. This successful experiment of treating sewage for clean water is the first of its kind in India. Today, this apartment block uses treated sewage water for all its needs. If you still can't believe, hear it from the residents who have been drinking it all this while.
You know, when Shekhar put this, this whole plan together and explained it to us in our GBMs about what is going to happen and how it is going to be incorporated into the drinking water. And then after it went into operation, we'd done a lot of testing on it, and we have a microbiologist on the campus who we know continuously monitors the microbe levels. And so we have some residents who are, highly trustworthy, and we know that this process is in place to make sure that the microbe levels are under control. And, we know we are out on the cutting edge, doing cutting edge things here at TZed. So at this point, I have to tell you that, from the taste of the water and the fact that we've done this for so long and nobody is falling sick, and so we are pretty confident doing this. Extremely good, extremely good. I think this is the way to go, and it feels good that we are showing the way. And personally, anytime guests or friends come over, we are very happy to show TZed around in the way of our living.
We have a centralized system. There are 90 homes here, and it's centralized. So the RO system is being centralized, so it comes directly to our taps. We do not do a second level of cleaning of water. My kids drink it directly from the tap. And we do have a system where, because all our kids and the small kids are dependent on this, so we do have a system where we have a very, very robust operational system. The council, the operation people in the council, who send us an immediate message saying that we are doing some work in the system, so please don't drink this water or boil the water before drinking. So we have that system in place.
It feels good actually, because the water doesn't taste like anything, and I like the water that we get.
With the city to face acute water shortage in the coming days, this whole new idea should be of help. If every apartment follows the process, then Bengaluru will have no water issues.
Overall, the TZed apartment is nothing different from the thousands of apartments that you see in the city. But what really stands out here is the initiative by the residents to give something back to the environment. They have done it. The big question is, will you?
In fact, those residents are right here in our studio to talk about this. Now, the question we are asking our viewers before, that is this: would you drink if your sewage water is well treated? And what are the other ways you think one can address the water woes in the city? Do share your views with News 9. Call us on the numbers that are flashing on the television screen. Now, let me introduce you to the residents who are right here, who came up with this novel idea and are successfully implementing it. We have with us Mr. Srinivasan Shekhar. Thank you very much. He's the technical design head, if you could, and also a resident over there. Thank you very much. We also have with us Shifali. Thank you, a resident. Mr. John Bastian. We have with us Mr. Venkatesh and Mr. Babu Rangaswamy. You know what? Before I start, I really have to say kudos to you guys, because everyone talks about sewage water. We are not going to touch this. The moment someone says, you know what, this is sewage water over here, it's treated, please drink, you're going to stand back and say, no, I'm not going to drink this because you don't trust. Two, you have done that successfully, you've implemented it, and you've also managed to change the mindset of all the people, what, 90 odd homes in your area? Changing the mindset is not an easy thing, and you've done it. So congratulations. First of all, just tell us, how did you all actually go into this and how long has it been?
Well, we had the same problem that most apartment complexes had in 2012. We were running out of water in summer. We were getting 10 tankers of water per day. We were having water rationing, and still it was not sufficient. And water became an emotive topic, where otherwise normally rational human beings, when there is no water out there, start going and policing each other and blaming each other, etc. And that's when we said that that's not the way you solve a problem. All that you do is get worked up. The problem is still there in front of you. So that's when we started looking at how can we solve this problem in a sustainable way so that this topic will never ever come back into our management committee or in our discourse. And we are glad to say today that for last 3 years this has never come back. It is solved once for all, and water is no longer a topic in any of our discourses in the last 3 years within the campus.
So it's very true what he says, Shefali, because everyone talks about the first topic, apart from when we don't have anything to talk, is the weather. The second thing here, apart from garbage, is water. There's no water. What we're going to do tomorrow? There's no Kaveri connection, or how are these tankers fleecing you? You know, when other people are cribbing and complaining and crying, you guys have been extremely proactive in trying to solve the problem.
Right. So for us, it like you say, everyone has been cribbing. For us, it was what can we do and not really crib about it and do something. And the one thing that worked for us, that our builders had given us some infrastructure to begin with.
Okay.
And we do have a few bore wells, and we had a 4 lakh liter tank which we could have used for harvesting the rainwater.
Okay.
And having this infrastructure, we thought, why not go a step further and use the rainwater, build some more infrastructure around that and start using it, because it was not being used. The builder had left it as is.
Okay.
So the residents came together and we got it together, we built on it, and then we went one step further and said, how about a closed loop system?
Okay.
So a few heads came together to work that out.
All right. Before I ask you what's the system all about, what sort of technology you used, how did you all manage to change everyone's mindset over there? Sewage water.
Frankly speaking, you know, it was a concern for me too. When I bought into this project, we were supposed to have rainwater harvesting, and that was supposed to supply the whole water for us. Unfortunately, the whole thing was not done, and we came into a crisis situation where we didn't have enough water. We had to get water from outside tankers. We don't know what kind of quality of water we got from that. And that's just when what Shefali talked about. We decided that we implement a closed loop system and talked to all residents, went through the whole process of how the filter would run and how the final output water that comes to your taps will be clean water, as clean as the cleanest water you can get. And you know, people were I don't know whether people were convinced, but at the end of it, when we tested the water, it was proved that it was really clean, and that took everybody forward. Yeah.
Okay, I still want to get back to the mindset, because like he stated, you know, you have cleaned it, you've seen, you've tested, but ultimately you have seen from where this water is actually, you have seen the source from where it starts, and you do know that this is sewage water. You have the clean water over there. I mean, what did you have to tell yourself? Did you have to tell yourself anything? Okay, you know what, this water is fine, it's fit for drinking, I will survive, I will not die.
So the clinching comparison was the water that we get. When we run out of water, we get it from the tankers from outside.
Okay.
They get it from all sorts of places. They may even get it from the nearby Vartur Lake, and Vartur Lake is a big sewage pond.
True.
Right? So how does it help us? How does we take a larger community of sewage water, try to use it and drink it? How does that help? Even your bottled water that you get, there is not much of testing done on that. So what else can we do to ensure that we are selfish, because we want to protect our own health? So when we know we can put a system in place and we test it. Actually, we regularly test it, randomly test it, on a month-to-month basis we test it. We put these things in place to ensure for ourselves and for our neighbors. You know, when the council or the management committee speaks, they're also going to be drinking the same water. It's not somebody else supplying water for you. All of us are going to do it together. So when the comparison was made, when one of our resident doctors said, hey, the water that you get from the lake is equally bad or worse than the sewage water that we create here. So why not try the system? And that was the game changer. And we also put in a lot of places, we do regular testing, we make sure our TDS, our E. coli count is always much lower than even bottled water. You take any bottled water and test this, it will be much lower.
Wow. And I was also told that, apart from this, you have a lot of rainwater harvesting pits, you have a lot of borewell recharging pits. Can you throw some light on that?
So, one of the key elements we do is to ensure that we do have continuous water supply coming in, because we do have a fantastic green which we maintain in our place.
Okay.
All the green requires water. True. So we have the RO output along with some of the STP treated water going in, which means we need to replenish the water, the fresh water from the ground. For that, we again recharge the water onto the ground through 40 odd recharging pits which we have within the campus.
All right.
And we also have, especially for the rainy season, it's very, very handy for us because we have 4 lakh liters of kind of a tank.
Yeah, that's what she said. Yes, a huge
so which
tank
our
there.
consumption being about 50,000 liters a day, the final usage, we are able to survive for the entire month. If once a week, if we get the rain, we can survive the entire rainy season without any additional source of water.
Once a week?
Once a week, if we get a rain, we get the tank filled. Good rain, the rainwater harvesting tank gets filled, and that way we can sustain the 4 or 5 months of rainy season without any external source of water.
So if we have good rains over here in the city, I mean, it's plentiful for y'all. I mean, no issues at all.
Yes.
Apart from that, tell us about this system. What system have you all implemented over here? And how much did it cost you all?
Actually, like Chef Ali had mentioned, our builder had left a lot of infrastructure, though for different purposes. What we just did was we looked at everything that was there. We repurposed things, we reconnected things, and then we found what was missing out there. We just needed to purchase those missing things.
Okay.
And the total project costed around 3 lakhs. That's it. I mean, we already had, for example, we had an RO plant, centralized RO plant, which was fed by borewell water and then later tanker water. And we already had an STP that was functioning and where we used to get STP treated water.
Okay.
It is just that this STP treated water was getting thrown out and we were buying tankers and filling it into the...
But now even that water is used.
So we said, okay, why, you have this part, that part, these are all disconnected, these are thought differently, I mean, for different purposes. How about we make this whole thing into a completely closed loop system?
Okay.
Basically, like as I was mentioning, it's like Earth. So it's a closed loop system. If you don't have a choice tomorrow, you are not allowed outside your campus. What will you do? We have 7 billion population on Earth and land is becoming scarce. And if there's no place for you to throw, what will you do? Today we all think that, okay, we can throw somewhere. But you can see in Bangalore, we don't have place to throw because where we are throwing is somebody else's place and they are objecting. So what will you do? You just can't keep looking for place to throw.
You need to be self-sufficient.
You have to find a way where it goes back into its elements and then you can recycle and you can be sustainable within the land that you are given.
Okay, for those outside who are listening, who do not have any infrastructure as such, because you said that you had disconnected infrastructures, you had to make it a closed loop and you all thought about it. Those who do not have anything as such, how much would it actually cost them? I mean, and what all would they require to do something that you all are doing?
Depends on volume. For example, STP plants are supposed to be mandated by law for any apartment complex.
But many apartment complexes do not have it.
More than 50 apartment complexes, they are supposed to have it. Now, what do they do with the sewage if they don't have it? Okay, they are actually basically letting it to an empty plot next door. But there are not going to be too many empty plots.
Yes.
Or they are going into the lakes and then we become a joke of the world. Huffington Post and the Washington Post and everybody is covering Vartur Lake. Okay, Vartur has become famous around the world.
Where do you hear lakes that burn? I mean, it's just fantastic.
So the thing is, we are causing it. We are causing it and we are looking at as though somebody else is causing it and everybody is disgusted with everybody else. For a change, let's be disgusted with ourselves for what we are not doing. and let us start doing something so we don't feel disgusted with ourselves.
All right. Now, there are kids, of course, in this. There are 90 homes. People have their own kids. I mean, have you all told them that this is the water that actually gets cleaned, which is the sewage water that gets cleaned, and you are utilizing it again? I mean, how did they take it? Or have you not told them?
No.
I thought my children knew it. So like you saw in the interview yesterday, that was my kid there who said, I don't know, it was STP. Whereas we talk about it at home, and somehow it hasn't registered in his head that it's STP. And I think probably for us it's there. It's not registered as well. We don't talk about it because it's become a part of our lives. It's not something that people think that it's a big deal, but I think for us as residents and as our children, it's become a part of life. It's just there.
Yeah. So the kids are also growing up with us.
Okay.
So some of the kids, the older kids at that time, probably were a little bit more aware of that STP water was getting treated, and then
3 years ago you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. When we started it.
Okay.
And these people are much smaller kids, so probably they didn't have that level of knowledge.
Okay.
And as Shefali said right now it's like part and parcel of us.
You don't talk about water anymore in any of your discussions.
Exactly.
No, also, if you think about it, most kids actually don't ask any questions. They trust the parents, and parents basically ensure that whatever the kids get, other than Maggi noodles, is safe. Okay. So the kids don't go and ask, like, where did this food come, what this came from. Okay. So kids take for granted. The key thing that needs to be noted there is no kid has found any difference in water or gone and asked the parent saying, Mom, this tastes differently. Actually, it tastes like mineral water.
How does it taste? That's what I wanted to know.
Like water.
Just normal taste.
Clean water.
Very sweet. I mean, it's just any regular water.
If I bring 2 or 3 glasses of water.
You should have actually brought some. I wanted to.
I should have
We
tasted
should have done it.
We should have
like
done it.
3 different branded waters.
Okay.
And then this, if I just mix it, you would not be able to differentiate at all.
Not at all.
Have people, have your friends, your colleagues, wherever you go, have they asked you how you manage over there? Have they have inquiries come as to what we also want to do this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, both of you. Yeah.
No, actually, I have my batchmates who are into construction, building, and many of them are seriously interested in implementing this in all their new projects.
Okay.
And they keep talking to Shekhar, who was key and instrumental in implementing it in TZed all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one thing that I find with everybody's there. I don't know about other apartments. There are also communities around us in Whitefield who are interested in doing it. But to what extent they are seriously taking it forward, we have to.
I think there is this factor that this has not been tried and is it safe. There's a lot of the self-doubts that come in. It is basically, I think, I personally feel it's a doubt about any change. It has nothing to do with this, but like you are used to a system and you want to go to a new system, you feel scared.
Very true.
And that is what holds people back rather than anything to do with that new system.
Is this the Singaporean technology that you have utilized over here?
Absolutely. By the way, Singapore did it after us. So we would like to claim.
So how did this change? So the team which was implementing did the switch overnight without informing the residents to some extent.
Don't tell me. So you'll wake up in the morning, utilize the water, and
we were talking about it, but the actual switch was not really communicated at that time.
It was switched, was not communicated.
Like we didn't have an inauguration ceremony or something.
We didn't have.
So you all didn't have that in your mind that this is the sewage water that's treated I'm having. So you wake up in the morning, go about your normal work. When did you come to know about it?
Maybe over a few weeks and
weeks.
Maybe when the emails and in discussion we discussed about it.
So
hey, we are now using a closed loop system and you're drinking your own potty water, treated potty water.
I think just a bit of a detail on that, since there were a small team of people who were in this water committee. So we did a lot of blind tests, which basically meant that we gave a glass of water to people and then said, try to tell which is the source. We didn't tell the source. It could be borewell water, it could be STP treated water, or it could have been tanker water. And we found that absolutely nobody can make out the source. And then we said, okay, let us try it out without telling, let's let it through. Let's see, anybody can catch it. Nobody
And
caught it.
no one.
Nobody caught it. And then when we went and announced it saying, by the way, you guys have been using this stuff, you guys haven't found. Of course, people tried their best to see, yeah, that tasted differently, etc. Okay. Then he said, okay, on which day, at what time? And then we had records about when we used, when we didn't use.
And it was a good 2.5 to 3 weeks.
Yes. And it never matched. Basically, when people thought it was STP, we were sending some other water. And fundamentally, they said, okay, guys, we can believe what we want to believe, but in reality, there is no way in which you can perceive, because we tested the water. If I give you a test report and ask you to tell from the test report where the source is, you cannot do it. You cannot see it.
Not possible at all.
No.
But you'll make sure that you test this water every now and then.
Yes.
How regular do you test it?
Monthly.
Once a monthly, and we are even looking at different places. That is not only just output from the RO plant.
Okay.
We are also taking it for the far extreme of the property.
Like STP treated water, we get RO water from different taps.
Okay.
We have a microbiologist who is one of our residents. She takes samples and tests it in her own lab.
Okay.
And she doesn't tell when. She doesn't tell when. So if there is, it is truly randomized test, and it has passed consistently, time and again it has passed.
I mean, I'm just amazed. I don't know. I'm sure people out there also, but I am just amazed because we have done so many stories. We have spoken to so many people who keep, the same thing. The government is not providing us water. We have to spend so much of money on water tankers. But they live in these gated communities. They live in apartments, but they don't want to do these simple things. What are they? Rainwater harvesting?
Yes.
The second thing is groundwater recharge pits. Sewage treatment plants, which is mandatory, which many people don't have.
Oh, rainwater harvesting is also mandatory.
Yeah, but they don't do
Nobody
that.
does it.
Even the government
Nobody
itself does not
Absolutely.
do that. I mean,
they're all mandatory on law, but more in violation.
All right.
So one thing that really works for us, and I feel as a mom and with kids, and of course fathers here, but the one thing that really works for us is our residents are involved in it.
Yes.
We do not leave it to the manager or a third party or the builder. So for us, all of us collectively, we take charge of it and we go there and see to it that it's working. Our filters are working, it's going for testing, and when it's coming for testing, the report comes to us, we get it, they sign it, get it signed from us. So we don't leave it.
It's a very good point you brought out. Do you suppose that the biggest issue here, I want to get out now from your gated community to Bengaluru in general, do you believe that the biggest problem over here is that society is not involved? They only complain, they only want the government to do, but are not involved.
That is the biggest problem today. And sometime back you mentioned about this Vartur lake and the other lakes burning, the fire catching. One of the things that some of the residents in TZed do is that use less chemicals that go into the system of this water. For example, for washing, in the washing machine, washing clothes, we use what is called soap nuts.
Okay.
Norke in Canada.
Okay.
So soap nuts don't leave residues, chemical residues into your water system. So it's less load on your water system, and it will, when it goes out of your campus, your lake will not burn.
But it's also important, right? Because if you're getting the water through your sewage treatment plant, you're not supposed to use certain chemicals.
Yes. Reduce. So we try to reduce.
How do you manage with the oil? Because many people dump the oil in the sink.
Oils probably shake up and talk about it.
So the STP treatment itself, the aerated like aeration process, that can handle grease. That can handle oil. Yeah, at low levels. Okay. Obviously, if you put industrial grease, like a huge amount of oil out there.
But you're talking about 90 houses over here.
Yeah, but then like if in the total amount of waste out there, the amount of grease or oil that comes into the sink, that like is a small amount. Basically, when you wash the vessels. Nobody pours oil into the sink, but if you pour oil out there, the sink may get clogged also. So there is this thing. Second thing is Johnny was mentioning. See, because we reuse that water, we know what is going in. It'll come back to us. That is, by the way, what the mantra of Earth is like. Whatever you put, it'll give it back to you. Okay. So, for example, in Diwali crackers. We don't go and burst it all over the place where that gets into the water bodies. We are very careful. We have a designated area where Diwali crackers are burst, and we clean it up, and we safely segregate it, and then we dispose of it through BBMP. and we ensure that likewise mosquito.
So you segregated over there in the BVMP chest chucks.
Yeah, and even that mosquito that they have this fog that they put.
Yeah.
Okay.
They spray. Yeah.
So when you spray it out there, actually it goes to the ground and it goes into groundwater. We don't use that. We use like citronelle and a whole bunch of other alternatives, harmless alternatives that doesn't pollute groundwater. So paint is another thing that we don't put it down the drain, because that paint comes into the sewage treatment system, kills all the bacteria, and the sewage treatment system goes like defunct. So there are a lot of things that we are conscious. We have educated our entire community, and we monitor and we keep re-educating every year.
Don't you see that the best part over here in your gated community is that since you are drinking the water, you're extremely careful what you're throwing, what you're wasting.
Absolutely.
That is the biggest issue.
Yes.
In solid or liquid, anything what we throw, we ensure that we kind of really care. This is the like-minded people living there is a big difference, right? People are coming together and doing it, as Venki pointed out earlier as well, right? That's very, very important. Even the waste that we generate, we kind of make the manure or the compost out of it, and we use that for the green what we have instead of putting any fertilizer. We do not use fertilizer for any of our plants. It's only organic way of doing it.
Good you mentioned about the plants, the reverse osmosis plants that you have over there. Many people believe that you did mention this, the wastewater, you have good water and the wastewater.
Waste.
What do you do with that wastewater? Do you once more treat that, or is it left in the garden?
RO waste basically is nothing but concentration of whatever you took out of the water to make it pure.
Yeah.
Okay. And typically in our case out there, it will be mainly carbonates, calcium carbonate, magnesium carbonate, and other type of things that come in the borewell.
Okay.
Okay. That is basically a rock from the rock. So we initially experimented and said, let us give it to plant and see if there is any difference. And we found actually the plants didn't care, because they are coming from earth. But if you go and put some chemicals, that will also come into RO waste. Okay.
All right.
Then you have to be careful. Or if you put excessive salt or something like that.
So what do you do with that wastewater?
Actually, you have no choice but to put it somewhere on earth. So most people think that disposing is somebody else's.
That is not treated.
No,
that's not treated.
Okay, the RO is not treated.
Yeah,
okay,
because
waste.
basically what it is nothing
All
but like
those
a
minerals,
rock chemicals, etc. that goes back to soil.
So it goes back to the soil.
We use it for garden actually. We use it for gardening, mixing it with STP treated water.
Okay.
And then we use it for gardening, car wash, those type of things.
I wanted to ask you about that.
Wash.
So for your cleaning your
mopping,
your homes, for mopping, for washing your cars and everything, it's all from this.
Yes.
Yes.
So we have terrace gardens in each apartment. We have terrace gardens.
Okay.
The STP, the water and the RO, which is not treated through RO, goes to the terrace gardens.
So the reason for mixing the STP output and the RO waste is to dilute what Shekhar was mentioning, the salt content
TDS, what's
little
called
bit low,
TDS.
so that the plants can easily absorb them, and the rest we recharge them down. Right?
So it gets percolated.
At the end, everything comes back to us.
All right. Now, you know what? Here you have a lot of like-minded people who have decided to, put your brains together, your heads together, and work out a solution. Many different apartment complexes, say maybe one or two people would want to do this, but do not know how to go about with this. What would you like to tell them?
What we have done is a system. We have documented the whole system, how it works, what kind of problems we have gone through, and in fact today Shekhar has set something up in which he can help any new complex, any existing complex on how to implement this. And
first thing people are going to say it's costly. I mean, they won't mind paying the water tankers to get
the long term.
water.
If you look at the long term economics of doing this, it is actually cheaper.
It's cheaper.
Could you break it down for people, because for them to understand? What I'm trying to say is they normally pay money to get water from water tankers. Now, if they have to utilize this, how much over time would they actually both health and money wise save?
Actually,
in terms of
I think one of our residents who's not here today, actually her husband, Alok, who also was in the water committee, he actually did the economic analysis of it, and I think we spend a total of around 5 paise per liter of water. That liter of drinkable water, potable water. Okay, so that includes all the cost of RO system, the electricity, everything put together. So he did an analysis, and he actually did this ROI. Actually, when it comes to water, ROI and all this don't matter. If the demand for water goes up, people will pay whatever it takes. So why not avoid that demand and then proactively solve the problem beforehand?
No, because why I'm asking you is just a few days ago, I remember one of these apartment complexes here, if I remember right, it's at Salapuria Satwa in Bomanhalli. They were complaining that they do not have water, they do not have sewage treatment, the builders did not give them. So I'm just thinking, the builders cheated you, they didn't give you all that. If you all put your heads together, you said what, how much? 3 lakhs maximum, if you're talking about like
if they want to set up a sewage treatment plant, it'll be a bit more.
But at
they
least,
don't have a choice.
all
What will
these
they do?
things, this would be the best. Then they would not have to depend on BWSSB, they would not have to depend on the builders, they wouldn't have to depend on, worse, the water tankers.
Yes. And there is something priceless, the health.
Yeah.
Yes, your health.
Right? So you can't put any value to that
health.
one. Yeah. And then the contribution to the environment, you can't put a price to that.
Yes.
You can't put a value to that.
And more important, this is infrastructure, essential basic infrastructure. So to those apartment complexes which don't have STP or which don't have a water recycling, what I would say is that, okay, your builder gave you half a building. You have to do the rest of the half. You cannot just say that, okay, no, builder cheated me, I will not build the other half and somebody should build. So nobody is going to help build that half.
I think that's
okay.
the right attitude.
Fundamentally, the thing is, if a builder gave you floor, didn't give you a wall, what will you do? So this is no different. Yeah, if you don't have a sewage treatment plant, okay, there's no point talking and wasting time. Go get it done.
Very true. I'll come back to that. We have there's a Bengalorean on the phone line, Vishwanath from Vidyaranyapuram. Vishwanath?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, congratulations to the TZed residents. They've done a fantastic job,
Absolutely.
and Shekhar would know that he has a small champion in me. My question is, Shekhar, wouldn't it be good if you could document this example well and get all the scientific data as the cost data and then give it a great communication push so that many more residents could follow your example?
Sir, that entire technical details as well as the presentation is available on the net in SlideShare, and anybody who just needs to go
What's
to
your
Google.
website? If you can just tell them where to find this.
SlideShare, just do a Google of TZed out there, you will hit it.
And you'll get this. And the entire thing is documented.
The whole presentation, including our workshop that we had done a year or so back, the entire thing is there.
With the costing, I think.
Everything is provided. All the data is there.
If someone cannot find it, we can send them.
They can contact us. I have a company which basically is helping people who want to do this based on our experiences.
Okay.
And so we have tried to capture some of this information there. Anybody who wants, they can.
How many people or how many gated communities or apartments have actually decided to do this?
As I said, many people have attempted for last 2 years. They want to do it.
No, how many have contacted you and how many have you all helped? Have people contacted you?
I think last 3 years, I would think that more than 100 plus communities have visited TZed and gone through the entire thing.
Okay.
As far as we know, nobody has done it.
Nobody has actually.
Why do you think people shy away from taking this up?
40 water.
Yeah, but you're not surviving. I mean, 3 years. I mean, okay, 3 years is a long time. 365.
Well, we are like a zoo garden. People visit us to see, oh, these guys are there. That doesn't mean that they want to become us. They have to choose.
So one of the elements is we had, like when I was talking about, we just switched to this kind of mode of operation. And even at the time, there were a few people, the naysayers, and they were, as Shekhar also mentioned, that it tastes like differently and all this. And we also noticed that some of the people started buying water from outside initially.
Residents. Okay.
And then they saw the rest of the people, everything is like beautiful, and then like people are very healthy, happy, and the buying the bottled water can dwindle down, and like probably still very, very few people still kind of go for it, but otherwise everybody drinks the water from the tap.
Directly.
Directly from the tap.
It's a mindset.
It's a mindset. No, that's why I asked, how do you
mindset.
manage to change that? I mean,
no, you just need it to change once.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if you come and drink that water once out there, after that you won't have a problem.
See, if you
it is like the first time you jump into a
If you
spoon.
don't tell me that this is the water, I would immediately take the glass and drink. Okay, fine, it's crystal clear water. The moment you tell me it's going to be that, I'm giving my example, I'm going to think about it. Okay.
But if I tell you after you drank it, by the way, what you drank was that, you would have already changed your mindset, because you would have said, wow, is that? I didn't find anything. Then you are done. You are converted.
There are 2 things over there that happened, but yeah.
So which is what happened.
Both ways. I had visitors who came there. I explained to them upfront before they drank the water what we do with the water, and told them, okay, try and drink it. And most of them are acceptable drinking it. But the problem is they are not willing to go back to their communities and get it done.
Do you think it's because they feel it's going to be too costly, too time consuming? I mean, I'm getting water anyhow from the tankers, and the government somehow is giving me, so why buying
more than 1,000 rupees on a Saturday evening meal in a restaurant? I think it's not.
I don't think it's
money
economics.
Is not the money.
I don't think it's economics. And
Then
also,
what is it that stops them?
I think
I don't know,
they
yeah.
spend more money on tankers than they do it one time out here. This is sustainable solution. You do it once, you forget
No,
it.
yes, that's what. It's very sustainable.
Yes.
It's
Tanker
fantastic.
is not sustainable.
But why do you think people are, hesitating? After you've said that in the past 3 years, more than 100 people. I mean, 100 different communities have come. Groups have come there. But why do you think they stop? They hesitate?
Probably they're not getting the majority from their campus. I feel it's all about majority, and it takes a lot of energy for that conversion to happen.
Yes.
For us, that energy was spent in actually implementing the system rather than converting
In
the
fact,
mindset.
we had a full 100%
voting.
support. I for this system.
You think that's the biggest issue?
Yes.
That is one. And the other one is we do have new home buyers coming in. Some people want to move out, and they know this system, and they still want to come in. So it's like, it is not that only the people who are living here have that one. Once we understand, and there's so many people living like fantastic, so people come in and buy, and then they want to be part of our community. So it's very few people change because nobody wants to sell because this is a great community. But because of other compulsion, they need to move out or something if they want to sell. People wanting to buy and come in and part of our community, right? And on the lighter note, some of our home helpers, something these days it's difficult to get the home help.
Very true.
So some of the people get the 5-liter can and then take the water and go back, so they don't leave the community. Because they don't want to leave us and go, because even though they make good job elsewhere, they get
really good water.
excellent water from
All our
here.
helpers take water from the community. They get a
Good. And
bottle and take it from
It's a cleaner water than
It's for
the
us,
source
it's
they
free,
get.
right?
No, and they do know about this, and
Yes.
still they do that.
Yes.
So let's put it this. Let's put it this way. I think it's mentioned a couple of times earlier too. But I think the biggest challenge that most of the like apartment complexes face, in my view, is people try to get 100% people on board, and you'll never get 100% people
You're not
on
going to
board.
do that. Yes.
And you'll have to do a small pilot. You'll have to do it maybe surreptitiously, then show the results.
How do you do that? If you can just tell them how, because everyone is like, okay, we want to do something, but how?
See, if the problem is serious enough, their current water problem is serious enough,
Everybody's facing their problem is actually acute.
and if it is acute, then they, like, it's like Einstein says, you have to try a different solution to solve the problem. You cannot keep buying more tanker. That's your current solution. That's not working. So then you have to try something. So why not try it? If you fail it, you can always go back to your original. So what's your loss?
Just try.
What's your loss?
My thought would be that, see, we, as it was stated earlier, we had the infrastructure. We had the RO plant, we had the STP. So if somebody does not have any of them, my advice would be that start with one of them first.
Yes.
At least get the STP treated out, which is by the law, you have to have it.
Yes.
Right? So get that
So
done.
use that water to clean your cars, to water your garden.
Start the delivery.
Start there.
Start. And then still the idea of, if you have the RO water, we can have the appliances better, we can have the tap water directly. So get that separately. Then link it up.
So you're saying go one step by step by step. So you know what, people also are ready to shell out a little bit more money. Okay. Okay, this month, maybe for this year, we'll start with the
can do it,
STP. Next year, we'll go with the RO system. You want to make a point.
The easiest is the rainwater. Absolutely.
Of course.
You should first start harvesting the rain.
There is no
Which is
excuse.
also mandatory.
Yes.
It is mandatory, but again, no one does it.
There is no
No one does
excuse
it.
for
For harvesting
Bangalore
the-
to get water from outside. Bangalore gets 800 millimeters of rain
Yes,
per
tell
year.
us that, because you were giving me a rough sketch.
And
of
if
it,
you
yes.
look at 800 millimeters of rain multiplied by the surface area of rooftops in Bangalore, okay, and you calculate that water, probably that water that we get is more than whatever is the total requirement across Bangalore. So there's no reason for Bangalore was not a city that was built on a river bank.
True,
If
we
you
had
look
a
at
lot of
all
lakes
other,
here,
if
yes.
you look at all other ancient cities, they were always built on river banks. Srirangapatnam was built on river bank, or any city. Bangalore was built on lakes, and what we use now is lakes as sewage ponds. So we have
Very sad
lost,
though, yeah.
we have lost the plot for Bangalore. Bangalore, like in 14th century or something, whenever it was built to depend on rainwater.
Interlinking of all the lakes.
Interlinking of
Yes.
lakes and collecting rainwater. So that much rainwater is available even today to Bangalore. Most of it is going into these sewage ponds, what we call as lakes, and then it is flowing out. It's flowing out, and then we are pumping water back in 150 kilometers away from Kaveri.
Yes. Okay. I'll come to you. I'll come back to you. We have with us a Bangalorean from Rajaji Nagar, Chandrasekhar. Chandrasekhar?
Hello.
Yes. Go ahead, sir.
Please. Hello. Hello.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Hello. I want to tell you something about the waste and west. What you are discussing.
Okay.
What actually I'm feeling, the first thing is really what is happening. The rain harvest is not been severely taken seriously. First thing, even 2030 or 3040 sites should be follow that one. Okay. Hello.
Yes.
Secondly, see what I'm seeing. Most of the borewell what you are having, they are lavishly using for their personal use. That should be restricted. How, you may ask, that I can go in detail. Can I go in detail?
Go ahead, sir.
Actually, what they are doing, some of the houses I am seeing the borewell having very good yield. What they are doing is just washing the car and putting car and everything. They should be restricted. So then, what will happen? So other can be used, or they have to share with somebody. This secondly. And thirdly, what I am seeing in a roads, almost all concrete roads are tar, and most of the drains are covered. Okay? So the water will never percolate inside. Okay? Hello?
Okay.
So what they had to do it, because every 400, 500 feet, there should be a percolating type. Say something 1.5 feet, bore like things, 8 to 10 feet, they had to dig it and filled with all jelly and everything. So water start percolating in every area. That will improve the water level of the table. This is the one. And almost most of the multi-story buildings, they must have a treatment plant, and that should be used for their bathroom or lavatories and the garden. That you must have very strictly, they must follow. The government should take seriously this thing. Then you can improve the water level.
Right,
Because I am having this experience of the 35-40 years as the general manager of the electronics. I am seeing this one.
Right. Right, Mr. Chandrasekhar. Thank you very much for calling in and sharing your views. I think the biggest issue today is no one's bothered. There's this official, I won't say ignorance, I'll say apathy. I don't care, it's all right. Something will happen. We'll somehow manage. Because good points he made there, and I think you guys are doing that. You have, he's talking about percolation. Yes. You have how many pits? You said 40 in just that area.
5 acres.
5 in 5 acres, 45 you have. Just imagine if everyone does the same. I mean, in a small house, you have a small percolation pit where water goes down. At least do your job. Will help. And also, I brought the topic up, I don't know, I think before the discussion started, where, here in your place, when you have bore wells, everyone is utilizing it. Yeah. But individual houses have a bore well and only that person uses. But, you're drawing up the water of the entire area. Yes. All those people with wells, just because they do not have the money to dig a bore well, their wells are, drying. And then, so I think the government needs to step in. Do you suppose the government needs to step in to make sure that what all you are doing is done outside also?
Yeah. Yes. If I just take the thing on the rainwater harvesting which we're talking about, one is definitely the percolation that can be done.
Yes.
But the water coming on the roof can directly be like harvested.
Yes.
Today, most of the rainwater harvesting, like the solution that I've seen, are primarily towards collecting the water and put it for percolation.
Yes.
But we can directly take the water, like initially the runoff, we need to, there are like clear processes to go through in terms of initial water, we need to leave it, and then rest we need to store, and that we can use. That we can even like avoid pumping the groundwater up, so even save the power, and the water is so pure, we don't need to even go through RO. If the water we collect from the rain is as good as drinking water, the purest water in a way, yes. Except for the acidity that comes in, that also goes away in the initial rain. After that, in fact, you don't need to even put it out. It's as good as that way. So if we make use of these multiple techniques that are available for rainwater harvesting in every home within Bangalore, as Shekhar also pointed out earlier, we don't need even like really any other solution. Kaveri need not be pumped from there. The local borewells and the rainwater can solve the problem locally.
Yeah.
All right.
I think,
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I think just to add to the point, almost at least 80% of your water needs are served by your rainwater that lands on your roof if you can collect it. And like Shefali had mentioned earlier, we have that 4.5 lakh liter tank or 4 lakh liter tank. We collect the water there. And when you do rainwater collection, then all of your systems also go easy because you don't have any salt or anything. Even an RO, even if you pass it through RO system, even if you pass it through RO system, the membranes don't have a lot of work to do because there's nothing to stop. So fundamentally, that's the purest form of water. It's a free water.
Except for the first rain. After that, it's
So the thing is that there is no reason why you don't want to use rainwater. Actually, you want to use rainwater. You have a lot of reasons why you shouldn't use borewell because of hardness.
Very true.
Whereas we are in Bangalore using borewell water more, but letting the rainwater go. So it's like
a very sad thing.
Yeah.
All right. We are running out of time. What would you like to tell Bangaloreans? Because this is fantastic. What you guys are doing.
My one message to all Bangaloreans are. It's not our system is the system. It's the where you can reach, but you can start stepwise. Like you said, how can they start? I would say harvest the rain first. That's the first thing to go with, and then of course the percolation pits and STP water, and together if we join hands, we can be the best city. If we can do it, I'm sure you can do it as well, and all of us together, if we do it, Bangalore will not have this scarcity, and we should not have the need to get water from Kaveri, because at some point that's going to dry up.
All right, we're running out of the time. Thank you all. I'm going to leave you all with what she stated. Change in mindset. Stop cribbing, stop crying. I mean, if you all put your heads together, you can actually come out with a solution to your drinking water and also all your water needs. Thank you all. Another discussion on the other side.